Dear brothers and sisters, as we celebrate the third Sunday of Easter, the church gives us the experience of the disciples of Emmaus to accompany us on our journey of faith. We all have expectations in life. We all set goals for ourselves in life, and when those goals are achieved, normally we are happy. But when it is the contrary, when something comes up that stops us from achieving our aim, most of the times we are discouraged, we are frustrated, and we feel we have no future. You can imagine yourself investing in studies, and at the end, you have nothing to show for it, or maybe you don't even have a job. You can imagine all sorts of situations, all what we've planned for, let's say, during this period or before this pandemic of COVID-19, and now the whole world is resting. Everything has stopped. Definitely some will be discouraged. Definitely some are frustrated. But that is the experience of the disciples of Jesus in general. He called each of them from his own living condition, from his daily life, to follow him. And they left everything to follow Jesus. The fishermen left their nets and their boats, their parents, to follow Christ. For them, it was like an investment, to the extent that even the tax collector, Matthew, left his table to follow Christ. So each of them left what he was doing to invest in Christ, expecting something better in the future. But we all assisted in what happened to him. They saw what happened to him, how he was arrested, how he was persecuted, how he was crucified, how he died on the cross. They even took him and buried him themselves. So for them, their dreams were shattered. It was like, as we say in English, putting all your eggs in one basket. And when the basket falls, we know the consequences. That was what happened to them. And that is why we have, in the experience of the disciples of Emmaus today, they turned their back to Jerusalem, where their dreams were shattered, and they were going back home to Emmaus to start life afresh, to start from zero, start all over again. So probably when they were discussing and asking themselves how they were to go about it, that was when Christ himself joined them and asked them the question, what are you discussing about? So my dear brothers and sisters, today, as we think of our limits in life, and we think of what all the things that discourage us, as we go through so many discouragements in life, things that don't work out the way we want them, Christ meets us in our point of need. He comes to us to ask you, what are you worried about? Why are you asking yourself all those questions? Be open enough to tell him, this is what is happening. And as the text tells us, it was at the breaking of bread that the disciples recognized that actually it was Jesus who was explaining the scriptures to them while they were still on the way. Let's have the humility to invite him into our home as they did. He was passing by, and then they told him, stay with us. Let's invite him into our lives. Let's invite him to stay with us. Let's open the doors of our hearts to strangers. Probably that is when our salvation can come. But one thing we need to keep in mind is that just at the moment when the disciples discovered that it was Jesus, he disappeared again. What does that mean for us as Christians? We cannot possess Christ once and for all. We cannot discover him once and for all. The moment we discover him, he pushes us to even look for him more. There is a prayer of Saint Clement that says, Lord, give to those who search you to see you, and to those who have found you to search for you even more. Christ can be like water in our hands. We think we have him, but then he escapes, and we need to look for him even more. And that was when the disciples stood up and went back to Jerusalem. That place where they've turned their backs, that place of discouragement, where their dreams were shattered, they went back there to preach the good news, to say that they've seen him, and they are now the witnesses of the resurrection. May the risen Lord come to us and make us witnesses of his resurrection in our daily lives. God bless you all.